Stream Studio. Why would it? Sorry. We're live, Jamie.
Oh, I know.
You know, the minute the timer runs down, it popped up this thing that said, "Do you want to leave?" I'm like, no. Why would I leave?
So you're saying that the AI got judgy?
I'm not saying it was the AI. I don't think it was their. They popped up a window and said, "Do you want to leave?" It will keep going without you, which is sad.
Oh, that's even worse.
That was
maybe that's the judgy part right
that
there.
was the sad part. I was like, yeah, it was very judgy. It was kind of sad. I was like, gee, well, I guess so much for being co-host. Might as well just.
You're like, Jamie got in the backside and typed in some extra code or something.
Well, happy record day, Jamie. Let's see who joins us. I think it's still waiting to tell us how many people are on. But people can use the chat. You know, we don't get a lot of chatters. You know.
Well, in the we've switched platforms, and so I'm not sure. Yeah, I see it.
But it still comes into the same audience on YouTube and Twitch.
Yes, but I'm just saying from my viewpoint, like it used to
how much you get to see.
Yeah, this looks like
I don't have a. There's everything's in ups and downs, right? You know, so maybe we can, tell Riverside, hey, where's my chat live stream counter? But no shade.
Let's give me a little bit more of an interface here. Yeah, let's work on it.
I don't really.
It's a design problem.
It's a design. Yeah. Well, so I was going to say something about students.
Are those new headphones?
No, they're not that new. You see my lights?
Yeah.
All the kids have them these days. You got to give it the times. Jamie just goes open ear, speakers or whatever. He doesn't need things. I don't know. I like them.
Well, I was talking.
I like trying to land the plane.
You say that, and I was talking. Yeah, I see that. You're like, let me, direct the traffic.
Yeah.
The wands. It's not a flight simulator. But
it's a life simulator.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry,
right?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was. It's funny you mentioned about the headphones. Was that? I don't know. It's like ever since that became more of a trend. M has them. It's like I understand it, but and I love music. This is not. It's not not listening to music. It's just that I don't like things on my ears. I don't know if it's like an ear sensitivity thing or
These
what.
Are pretty comfortable. I get it. It takes some getting used to. These are nice because they're cushy, and like when you're doing a long session with earbuds, the in ear, it really starts to hurt.
Oh yeah. I have it. I have, but it's. I don't like the headset.
trying to backpedal back out of that one. No, I'm just kidding. The friends is clickety clackety keyboards. You remember when we were younger and computers were a new thing, and they were very clickety clackety, and then they went into trying to be as quiet as possible. I'm just making up sound effects. Anyway, we should probably stop trying to dissect technology. Stick to what
Well, or
we
like
know, right?
use the Wayback Machine the way you are. So, I mean,
Well, I don't know how far down that rabbit hole I want to go today. I defer
well,
to you.
maybe it's just time to do. Maybe it's just time to be like, hey, I think it's time. So,
Oh, yeah. So is that the cue? Is the cue? Tis the cue. All right. I gotta roll intro. Hey, Jamie. We made it. I don't know. Did you hear the intro?
we made it. I did, sort of.
Okay, good. I think it's a little slow. The upload is going very slow right now. I'm hoping
And
I
so,
don't
for
have
those
to
of
do
you who
the
are watching
old reboot.
online, if you didn't
reboot the
know,
router. We didn't know what. Sorry, I missed that.
how many like letters are in Kurt's name? There's tons.
There's 10 in the why. What about the? Is there too many? Is it? Did I spell
No,
it wrong?
all of a sudden, like you're like normally it's just I have, I should be the one that you'd be worried about spelling. We know my
Right.
skill set.
Right.
But no, normally it just says Jamie and Kurt, and today it's Jamie and the formal.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a little less
See?
formal. That was weird.
I feel
You
better.
feel better? You
I feel
like,
better. I feel like
parity, like level, like everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I feel like I needed to go like change my clothes or something. I don't know. Go get some headphones. I mean,
you showed up with the wrong attire, no headphones, no ties. What's going on? Oh, so
no ties.
So
all shame.
How about any before we do some? Well, this is the.
But I do have. But I was gonna say, but I do have the coffee though. So.
Oh, okay. So you want to talk about coffee? And while you do that, can you conclude with a little anecdote, piece of advice for the students? Not about coffee, but it could be about coffee. Let's because you know what I'm trying to hit. I'm trying to hit like the first 5 minutes of the podcast before they hit the 2 times speed, and then blur through the rest of it.
So this is. Oh, I gotcha. This is. You're like. I've put a clock on myself, and I know that they're going to listen to the first few minutes before they start hitting the.
That's right.
Like, let's get the Zoom on here going.
That's right. Yeah, I'm just.
Let's get to the pictures when they start talking about the good stuff.
Exactly. See, now you get it.
That last 5 minutes is where the gold is. That's where the gold in these episodes is.
Yeah, that's right.
Miss all the jokes at the beginning.
Stay to the end.
Like they're worried about the speed button. Stay till the end. That's when the wise words come out.
Okay, good point.
Early stuff, a little bit rough. Yeah. general
t-shirt,
pacing.
Jamie.
If you've stayed with us through that whole exchange, thank you. Yes.
Points. Yeah.
It's important to understand the pop culture references, and then the remix is our podcast.
The students did see my
So what do you?
t-shirt and the pop culture reference. They got it. You know what they did say, which I will take
And
this.
approved, like yes.
Yes. And they said that we should turn this graphic into their AIAS t-shirt. We should submit it for judgment, because they do a ballot, whoever submits a design, and then they'll pick one that becomes their fundraiser t-shirt for the year. So pat yourself on the back there, Jamie, because I can't reach across to Texas, but
So we'd be helping students, is what you're saying.
Yep. We get to buy a t-shirt for $15.
Happy to help. Of our own design. Got it.
That's right.
But it's
I
all
already asked about That's right. I already asked. Oh yeah. So what's in your coffee cup there? Yeah. We're good with the cause.
Well, I brought props today. So this is I bought 2 bags of this because it's like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna, this is the one that's the unopened bag. Yeah, so I went with the whole bean intelligentsia today. It might have also been that there were only 2 left on the shelf, and so I felt like a little to like
doomsday.
Like, well,
doomsday.
Yeah, I mean, well, the flavor profile, I was like, either it's popular or it's bad, right? It's like, am I getting a deal? Like, am I getting in on the ground floor with this, the last of the last, this shipment? Because who knows shipments these days, right? Where are the beans coming from? But yeah, no, it's got
True.
like a molasses kind of note to it, which I kind of like, and kind of a brown sugar. It's got that, and it was really good. Kind of a nice rich flavor, kind of a medium roast.
Excellent. And because I thought you were going to say that second bag was going to get put in a care package. So,
well, this one is unopened, so it could go. I mean,
I wasn't trying to sound selfish.
There have been.
I mean, for the students, for the cause, for the cause.
Might be time. No, yeah, for the students. I see.
I was going to
not all for the students.
What's going to be the? So yeah, so for me now. This is a judgment-free zone, I hope, but we'll see. I think time will tell. But what is Jamie's take on?
Is this another UP trip? Did you go up here?
No.
Did you go up here in the car and go to the gas stations along the way?
Oh. No. I might I put it in the coffee sketch mug. Because I might be drinking mushroom-based coffee.
What?
Does it count?
Did you get swayed by advertising? Did the algorithms get in your feed?
I would say someone else in the house got swayed. And then I just gave it a try.
And
I mean, it's
does
okay.
It taste like coffee?
Not really. It's I'll tell you why. So since the magic of podcasting is that not actually recording in the morning when one drinks more of their coffee. And so this is sitting on the
Right.
counter, and so I threw a quick dash into a cup, boiled some hot water, and then it's kind of like it's like the consistency of hot chocolate powder, right? And so you know it's a very quick whip one
Dude,
together.
you're selling me on it right now.
I could. I'm not asking to be sponsored by said company. That would be a kind of blasphemy. How about, can I redeem
I
myself
mean,
with saying that I had a double shot from the farmers market coffee shop, our friend Becky, earlier
yeah,
today.
because you
Earlier.
had to stabilize your stomach because you were like you're like body.
Gastro.
There
Gastro.
might be some mushroom coffee substitute Nesquik powdered.
Nesquik.
No bunnies. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Jamie, this is the episode 187. You know something was going to happen. Something off.
187. Yeah. Someone's going to die. And it might be because of mushroom coffee masquerading Nesquik. So never trusted that bunny. So
that was great. I can't wait to clip that. It's going to happen in 2026.
yeah, I mean, it'll be next year, folks.
187.
But we'll put it in that highlight reel.
I hope the AI catches that clip, honestly. And then if it does, Jamie, if the AI catches nice. If the AI catches the 187, will you gain a little more respect for AI if it catches it in their automated clip making? Oh, you're cracking me up today. That's a good one. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, do you want to get into the serious stuff, or do you just want to keep talking about mushrooms?
I think we should get to the serious stuff. I think it's time. Enough. This is
This has been fun.
everyone. This is when you start hitting the speed part. We're getting to the good stuff.
So, actually, we didn't even allude to this in like the green room or the pre sort of warm up part. But do you want to explain what starts on October 1st and endures for the entire month?
This is like the best time
Christmas.
of the year.
Yeah.
This is like this is not just this is like Christmas, the World Cup, Super Bowl, Easter Bunny, like Hanukkah, like everything, like all of them, like all the things. It's like it's unicorns and puffy clouds and like a perfect sandy beach and the mountains in the distance, beautiful architecture. It's all of the things. Not pumpkin spice. Let's make that clear. We've gone down that. We've explained that's not part of this, folks. Maybe we also need to add another unmentionable mushroom coffee. But we have it's like a list, of October things. And but at the top of that October list is Arc Inktober.
I should have used my sound effects, but maybe next time. But yes, So do you want to
Well,
explain?
I was trying to give you. So our good friend Eric, and I mean, he is nice enough to say that others helped him with this, but we know he's the brainchild. He is the instigator. Um, he is the fire starter of Arkinktober, and in that, um, Inktober is a thing. So a lot of illustrators, tattoo artists, folks who just like to sketch and draw, will during each day follow a prompt that others have generated under the guise or the umbrella of Inktober. Cool concept. Participated myself. Kurt's participated as well. But several years ago, our friend Eric started kind of with the premise like, wouldn't it be great if there was an architecture version of this? And so he decided to pull that concept together and titled it Arkinktober, which Kurt and I have been participating and singing the praises of for many years now. It's always a challenge. So you get the prompts can come out ahead of time. Some people like to play ahead. Others like to take the prompts one day at a time. But in effect, you are trying to use that prompt to generate a sketch for that day. And in doing that, you post it with the hashtag, and then everybody else can kind of see what you're doing. And it becomes a really great cohort and community of sketchers and people who just like to, of the art itself. So that's super cool. And it's fun. You get to meet a lot of people. We've really enjoyed it. And we've had Eric on the podcast. Last year, we had him on twice to talk about Arkinktober. We're hoping to do the same this year. He did catch us, publicizing this and, noting that there are normally some hidden themes within Arkinktober. I don't know if we'll talk about that tonight. Maybe save that for when he's on. But last year had a music theme, sort of a hidden music theme. So we played the guessing game. It was great. And so this year, he alluded to the fact that there's actually three hidden themes, quote unquote, from him, 2 easy ones and then 1 really tricky one. So,
I saw that.
on,
yeah, I know. I was expecting 1 theme, and then I was like, oh my gosh, 3 now? Okay. So, yes, challenge accepted.
And to Kurt, and I was going to say, and to Kurt's credit too, I've always tried to, get all 31 in 31, and have been really close many times. Some years hitting it, some years just being off a day or two. Kurt has always tried his best as well. He is not as prolific as I am to some of this, but always dedicated when he does it. And because of this whole theme thing, last year, Kurt sort of folded in like, I don't know why he had to add an extra challenge to himself, but he did, and did all his sketches in a VR platform, which was really cool, and generated quite a number of sketches that we were able to talk about as I was doing mine and recapping with Eric and, in a couple different episodes. So this year, Kurt has maybe something else that he's experimenting with, and that's okay too. Using the prompts to, allow us to experiment a little bit is kind of another, net benefit to this whole experience, or at least something that we've seemed to have enjoyed.
Yeah. And while you were explaining, it reminded me. So I grabbed, the prompts for the month, and then I went and searched the hashtag. Although this doesn't have your latest in there, so they must not have pulled it. But it's been fun already. This is day 2 as we record this, and now we have already a handful, and there's more than even these. I'm sure. I think people forget to tag do the well, I searched just the one hashtag. If you add both, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. But yeah, so we have the themes because I wanted to paste these in here as a reminder because I already showed a class full of students yesterday. I said, guess what? Because yesterday was the first, and I said at one Wednesday morning class, I said, hey, in case you guys wanted to give it a try, there's a thing called Arkinktober, and then I showed them the thing, and I showed them the asterisk, sort of the subliminal message in there with some of the Gen X millennial, older millennial, and I get little snickers and laughs about when I date myself there. But anyway, yeah. So that my and thanks for appreciating my VR. I thought about doing that again this year, but then I thought, and maybe I'm going to do 1 week of this, right? Which is what I'm doing this year so far is kind of using AI, particularly in Midjourney and kind of iterating a little bit with GPT. So I spend some time to craft the prompt that generates the image, and then I kind of tease it out within Midjourney. So it's not that quick actually. I mean, I bet you some of Jamie's sketches will probably happen faster than some of these prompts. but I figured I'm going to do like a solid week and then make a decision if I want to try and sort of weave it in with something else, technology, maybe the VR or one thing that crossed my mind is if I could potentially even draw something the analog way by hand and see if people could tell the difference without trying to make it too big of a challenge, but just for fun. But that's a total side quest.
Well, no, I mean, but that's the whole thing. This month of sort of allowing yourself to really engage with the idea of it allows for the side quest, right? I mean, that's something both of us have learned. It's allowed us sort of an opportunity to look at a lot of other people's sketches. We spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about my work, or how it overlaps with some of your work, and oftentimes this month has afforded us the chance to sort of bring in other people, but also sort of highlight the different stylistic differences that we start to see in some of the sketches from the prompts, because everybody at this point now is working with the same term, which is sort of makes it kind of interesting. And it's not just kind of what's going on in our daily life. This is it's a little bit of that artificial rule kind of situation that we talk about from time to time with the work too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know we had a bit of this conversation last year regarding constraints, prompt sort of creating the constraint, or then constraints evolving out of having a single word prompt, right? And then trying to generate the idea as you were just stating. And so, yeah, so, so we're day 2. So first day was New York. Second day was alternative, which we're still warming up to some of the hidden themes, I think. New York might be a nice recognizable starting point, right? When you see some of the other sketches and, the icon that the city of New York is, or maybe multiple iconic, views or vantages, within the city. Like in your case, you did a bit of a Gotham homage there. I got to zoom in a little bit, which with Radio City in the background, which is fantastic. And actually, so while ago, how long did this sketch take on the first day?
This one was in. It was all done that first day. It was done in 2 different sittings. So I did one. I did one in the morning. Kind of a brunch time break in the day.
Oh, okay.
And then the other was sort of a late, late afternoon, just as I'm winding down from the office, knowing that I wanted to do both things, but I wasn't sure if I was going to do both or how it was going to work. And so interestingly, did the one on the right first, and then did the image on the left second. So kind of did it in seemingly reverse order, to the way that the composition reads. So the backdrop of sort of Gotham, of New York City and Radio City Music Hall at Rockefeller Center, did that as the backdrop. And the foreground is sort of iconic villains surrounding the Dark Knight. And I'd seen a version of that drawing, and thought it was really pretty fabulous. And so I saved the image and was like, I just want to sketch that one day, but I want to challenge myself to do it all in one sitting with a timer. And sort of, modify it and sort of change it a little bit kind of as I saw it. And so that one on the right, I did in 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then the one on the left of the architecture was another 20-minute sketch.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it kind of looks like
the body of that sketch is.
Sorry, I was just saying.
So it ends up sort of feeling like a full page. Yeah.
And so, I kind of assumed it's usually
maybe spent a little more time than I normally do, but.
But you're kicking off.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, kicking off the month, so you gotta bring it a little bit, right?
And what about this part? This sort of hieroglyph. Can you see my squiggle?
I think it's just, yeah, I mean, I think it's something that always is sort of present in the way I'm mapping out the pages in my head. And so as I'm working through sort of this, kind of pyramid of people, right? I loved kind of the composition that it was sort of creating, but it created this sort of weird white space over to the right. And I felt like there was an opportunity to do some of my diagramming, knowing that I was going to try and take these sort of fictionalized characters and imprint them on like architecture that was very, very important to me, that I got right. And so I wasn't sure if I'd be able, because I was going to do it in sort of 2 different sittings. I wasn't sure how well the stylization was going to work between the 2 drawings. Because sometimes my style will deviate, and that diagramming was sort of the way that in my mind I was giving myself a pass to just think about it a little bit more as I finished the character sketches.
Okay, got it. I mean, I think that's really intriguing.
In case I wanted to go more abstract is sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
To be more clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But also your concept of the pyramidal composition, leaving this sort of it felt a little off balance to you. So you then also sort of weaved it in as a conceptual part of the volume of that space there. So it's actually kind of a nice just as a how do you put it, technical, I guess, sort of a technical concept is the composition and the balance, regardless of the subject matter, but placing it, compositionally. So
Right, because yeah, I think what you're getting at too is that it's like I'm critiquing my own work a little bit as I'm working through it, and not necessarily knowing full well how the background's going to be. I knew that probably was going to feel pretty blank and white. And also, I'm also, again, because of the speed of the sketch, I'm only using one pen. This isn't one where I'm laying down like a pencil drawing of these and working over the top of it even. This is, straight up, this is pen to paper, no corrections, and, trying to render it, relatively quickly as well. So, if this was a finished image that I was rendering for something else, would I go back in and do touch-ups, add extra line weight, bring in an extra pen weight? Absolutely. But I think that for a sketchbook image with one pen, I think the amount of hatching in the background really kind of grounds it. The diagram makes me feel better about the right side of the page. I wonder what you think about it, how successful that part is, but
well, I like it, because it's actually the main part of the drawing is a lot heavier in weight, line weight and hatch and render texture, but the little sort of abstract sketch on the right is a much lighter line weight. So it actually I think it does what you're saying, like it fills the space without distracting from the main image. And then also kind of, it reminds me of a lot of your other sketches that do have these that are maybe a little bit more of abstractions. I remember back to remember your there was like a few series of like the sort of like gingerbread house, like out in the nowhere. I don't know if you remember those little houses or castles or little things.
Yep.
They were a little quirky, and they kind of emerged out of like these sort of abstract line work that then kind of turned into landscape and the building, and then kind of bled back into. So yeah,
which kind of leads to your sketch next to it a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So with a very different technique, but I'll just briefly describe the the prompt. So I developed a prompt within ChatGPT to craft some of the, like, the weighting and back, I don't want to call it back end, but like things that you can program within Midjourney that are stylizations and settings, not just the text prompt, but like certain tweaks. And so, just trying to like balance those with then the eventual text. But given, I framed it around, I kind of fed in the whole list of the month and saying like, here's the whole month of prompts, but let's like look at a week at a time, and then, but then think about how like there could be a interwoven theme across all the prompts. But then, starting with New York, I did want things. I did start off wanting things to look like sketches, to not to try and copycat or mimic, the analog, but to sort of test the the capability of the way it renders, and it's sort of part of it is started with maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was doing, you might have seen a couple of things on Instagram of sort of, they looked a little bit painted. There's a little more color, but it's kind of sort of scraping of colors and collaging, and so it's sort of thin in areas, kind of like this, or it's sort of a watercolor, or maybe a Prisma color sort of marker drawing, sort of washed over it. So I kind of like how that looks, right? It has this sort of gritty texture to it, and I thought that that would be an interesting starting point. And then, so then I fed it in, and then um, the prompt itself sort of includes, like, brown the term brownstones, urban streetscape, um, and so this image is one I thought that compositionally had a nice balance. Again, going maybe a little bit about composition, because some of the output from Midjourney can be very sort of object oriented, where like you get one sort of focal item and then the rest of the screen is sort of blank. But this one had a little more sort of perspective and movement, with the canvas, and I kept it to a square. So anyway, I kind of dig, like, the 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 contrast, or the shadow, I guess, like the way dark and light are kind of mixing is one of my favorite things about this one. So I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
your
mean,
thoughts are.
I mean, it has I mean, it has a bit of a watercolor kind of quality to it, where you're kind of working on a illustration board and doing, dropping in some pencil work, and sort of a little bit of sort of some construction lines that you sort of see imprinted in the image. Some of them don't kind of make sense, but that's, again, it's the AI doing it, right? But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
stylistically, though, I think it creates a nice effect, like you're talking about, where you know Midjourney renders do tend to look kind of object oriented, almost like they want you to zoom in on pieces and sort of do the fly through, or kind of spin around the object, to a certain degree, or at least that's what I've seen a lot of late. But I think the line work, the sort of the construction lines, kind of grab the edge of the paper and kind of give that impression of things to come, like a working drawing, and sort of almost like kind of a work in progress, that you're sort of getting this sort of snapshot of the watercolor progress. And it's like, where do I want to stop? I'm getting close. Is there a couple more things that I want to add in terms of detail as the artist? So it has that sort of evocative feel, that I think is really nice. In something like this, I think the question I always have with some of these images is that, is it, and this is sort of an oversimplification, but there's so many ways that you can, having used Photoshop for so many years, right, is in your mind's eye, do you find that you're almost looking at an image or a composite of images that have been sort of render farmed into kind of this layering technique that is, artistic in quality, to get the image that you're getting, and I think that's where my mind goes, when I see some of these to initially. I mean, now I also use sort of, you've, tapped me on, or introduced me, I guess, to Viscom. And so I've used Viscom, to a fair amount with, um, images of my own as sort of a starting point, and then sort of, trying to augment those or stylistically change them kind of in a different way. Whereas that would be 10 steps in Photoshop. It's you're kind of, doing that with a different type of iteration.
Yeah.
So kind of went on a pathway there. Sorry, but it just, I love, I do like this image a lot. I'm not sure I understand the tree.
I like the
Like
sparse
if
tree.
it's almost like if the tree wasn't there, or if the tree was done a little differently. I mean, no, I mean, it's not the sparse tree, but it's
It's
like it lands on the
it's in the wrong
sidewalk, like
place.
in a
It's
like
in yeah. It's not in the right
in it,
street tree location.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
right.
like it's kind of like it doesn't quite. It's like it's either in the,
Yeah.
but that's like, I mean, but that's like my only, like, like that's when I kind of go, what's going on? It's like
Yeah.
everything else is really interesting. This is kind of a neat walk up. It's got the surround up above, and anyway.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I get it. I mean, I'm hoping to see, which is, I already said that, like, oh, maybe I'll pivot after a week, but I think it also could be there could be something valuable about pulling off, 31 days of this and seeing. And the only other point I would add to, any of the work in Midjourney, and maybe if we get Eric on, I can show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of, and I've kind of had this conversation with, some faculty at Lawrence Tech about, because it can generate images quickly, and we might have had this conversation too. The task or the challenge becomes more of a curatorial one and a critical one, right? So you kind of critique, and you look at the outputs, and then before things start to really, like the sweater really starts to unravel, right? Like I stopped at the one with the tree, even though the tree is not perfect. But you kind of scrutinize like what it's trying to give you, and then you try and like tweak them a little bit to try and steer it, like bump it back in bounds a little bit. And then it's kind of like, I don't know, you're like trying to balance a bowling ball on a tightrope or something, right? It could go down the tightrope, on the
Oh,
right.
no, it's not even that.
Yeah.
It's not a tightrope. Like, I'm glad you said bowling ball. It's like when you go to the bowling alley and the people you're with don't know how to bowl, and so they get out the inflatable and they inflate the lanes, or
The gutters.
the gutters, and so everybody gets to knock down a pin. So Midjourney curation in architecture school is like the inflatable bumper rails when you're bowling with people who don't know how to bowl.
I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss.
Pull that one out your next faculty meeting.
But yeah.
Pull that one out your next faculty meeting and see how it lands. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, we have, I mean, this, yeah, it depends on who you talk to. But yeah. And then,
yes. And also depends on whether people know how irreverent I can be.
No, so anyway, that's all, I think, but again, right, the curator, right, maybe the old adage of like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It will depend on who is looking and curating, right? And their own trained eye or not trained eye. Like maybe I don't have a trained eye, and then, I I need the bumper rails. Um, but so anyway, so it's an interesting process, you know.
So I have a question for you because, um, like you were alluding to, the first prompt, New York, you can go in a million ways. Like, we've talked about prompts being difficult at times. Didn't find that one difficult. Probably had too many ideas that I was trying to like, like we're saying, start the month off strong. The second one, the prompt is alternative. And so I was really intrigued when yours popped up, and then I realized you also did sort of a, kind of a visualization walkthrough, in addition to the still image. But what was the thought process with this one for you?
Well, same workflow, kind of working with GPT and Midjourney, you know, iterating on the prompt expansion of the prompt. Um, this one, I don't remember the exact words, so it might take me a minute to get to. But what essentially, you know, I can always grab the prompt, but essentially what it started to generate were things like this, right? These buildings, because everything is sort of being told. All the sketches seem to be told that it's architectural in nature. So it does imply or put in buildings into the sketch. And then it started to generate these spaces in between with people. And then I actually, one of this is definitely a later iteration that I tried to nudge it into uh, a more extreme variation. But one of them came out with these sort of like, like a sail, urban or a fabric sail like structure that spans between cables and stuff. And so then I thought, well, oh, maybe I can try and nudge it in the direction of this, a plaza or a space between buildings, in an urban setting. And so then I kind of pushed it, and it started to do that sort of unraveling where I was starting to not like it so much. So then I kind of like I had to come back a little bit to one that I felt more comfortable with, and also it for today at least it was kind of uh, cluing in on like having these orange patches in mixed with the gray and stuff, and so I was like, oh, all right, So then I kind of made the interpretation myself of like perhaps an alternative space would be a space between spaces. At least is my architectural curatorial
Interesting.
um, impression of this, and
Well,
so that's where we landed.
it's funny because there's um, there's a lot more of those sort of construction-y lines in this one that aren't doing the same thing that the last one did, from just sort of a vibe about the render. In this one, it relates more to the way you're describing it, where it's almost like you're trying to work through in plan as well as in perspective, or in section and in perspective, this idea of objects and buildings and the spaces in between them. And so it's almost like it's a process drawing.
Mm.
Because of all that extra line work that's in there, you can almost start to read, especially with that sort of line work at the top that has a almost like a mast like quality, and then sort of the lines that are kind of coming off of it, for the fabric and the awnings that you're describing. you could almost read that as a plan sketch, that this is sort of this is the Rambla. And then in that Rambla, there is these sort of spaces in between both sides of the street. And I'm also giving you a render of the street. And, the little people at scale really work, especially where sort of their positioning in space, some of them a little bit closer to us and others sort of in that sort of 1 point perspective. It really makes it dynamic. So I think as a process drawing, if you're trying to, like, as you described it, sort of capture the idea of how do you design the space in between the spaces? This becomes kind of that, taken as a process image. Awesome. It's like, this is like getting some ideas out of your head onto the page, and iterating like you're describing, as well. Because then I think there's a point where you're like, you even said it at the very end there, you're discovering these things that it's dropping in there that you maybe hadn't thought about, the color splotches, sort of the shapes, and that maybe becomes this other jumping off point. That's, then that's design assist, right? That's, and that's a very different viewpoint of kind of what this, image creation versus design assist is sort of two different pathways.
Sure, yeah. And the one other thing I'll add, and it could be a nice segue to your sketch and any of your sketches, but we can, we'll talk about your alternative sketch, is that I like to leave the ones I like more are the ones that have enough depth, right? Spatial depth and visible, enough visible recognition, right? So in the background, you have some scale figures and some semblance of, components of a building, right? And so there's enough of a cue. Is your cat trying to take you out there? And so trying to pull the eye back, right, into the back of the drawing is essentially what I'm picking on more, right? It's like if they tend to be somewhat flat, then I'm less interested, and I want to see how much perspective can be baked in. And I think a lot of that comes from, talking with you about your sketches over 7 years and seeing that level of depth. So it's
well,
influence.
I appreciate that, because I think it's both of us are trying to, but we're also trying to force ourselves to like really push ourselves as designers, but at the same time critique our own work. And that's, I think, the other benefit of the podcast has been is, both of us have said it many times, me maybe more towards you, is I've appreciated your curation of my sketches, where you're looking at them with a completely different set of eyes, knowing the story in some of them, but not all of them. And in that, as you're analyzing them, I'm getting the opportunity to then also be kind of the visitor to my own work. And which is a treat, which is a blessing, right? And I mean, I do that anyways. We all do that naturally with our own things. We're all our own worst critics, right? But this isn't about, being a critic. It's more about, recognizing the things that we can learn from our own work or work of others, as we're taking the time to look at it a little bit more.
Yeah. So then your
and
version
the stories,
of alternative.
The stories are good too.
And exactly. Well, that's what tell us about the Moor and Mudhoney.
Yeah. So the Moore Theater in Seattle is on the National Register of Historic Places. So kind of architecturally significant in downtown Seattle, 1907, by an architect I'm not familiar with, E.W. Houghton, probably a regional architect in the Pacific Northwest. But you have sort of, and theaters of that time period had sort of, differing influences. A lot you had often as the buildings themselves had sort of a Beaux-Arts or classical tradition, but then a lot of the ornamentation took on sort of, Nouveau Egyptian or Byzantine or Romanesque, kind of all these sort of older forms sort of reimagined, Echo, all kind of work into that time frame. So yeah, you see some of the architectural kind of cast stone elements around that upper window above the marquee, and then sort of the frieze a little bit higher up the building with the name, the Moore Theater. But this was a pilgrimage for me and a friend of the podcast, Jason, close friend of mine and yours, that we decided to finally go to Seattle, and
I'm friends with all people that share my birthday.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. And so we went up there. I had been to Seattle once prior. I think that was his first trip actually. But we went for sort of two objectives. One of which was Twin Peaks, David Lynch's, seminal work. The pilot was shot in portions of it in downtown Seattle, but most of it just outside in one of the smaller communities there. And then also the music scene, right? So the Seattle music scene of the 1990s is, birthed so many things in terms of influence. It just felt really important to kind of go there and sort of, not with a big agenda, but try and go see some of those spots where bands performed for the first time, and just kind of walk around. And there's, a lot of different locations that we ended up seeing Chicano Batman actually at the Moore, one of the nights that we were there. So we actually saw a performance. But what drew us to this particular site, and then decided to buy tickets on impulse for that show, was that the Moore was really the first time that Nirvana played together as a band, like in a show. And they, after so they had just finished Bleach on Sub Pop, and and Sub Pop had sort of, record labels had their little mini festivals or kind of, mini showcases, right? We call them showcases now. South by has their showcases with different labels. So Sub Pop had a showcase at the Moore, and called the Lame Fest in 1989. And the Lame Fest was headlined by Mudhoney. And this new band, Nirvana, was the opening act. And so, very cool. There's some really great music exhibits in Seattle. And so we were able to, both, enjoy the exhibits and all the different things that are, in the museums related to the music scene, but then also go and see some of the sites themselves, which are pretty cool.
I got a visitor.
So alternative.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that better be part of Eric's plan. That's all I'm saying. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, we're not going to the themes yet, but there's something in there. So I'm putting in some early, not guesses. We're not going guesses quite yet, but
Yeah, okay, this is only day 2, but so yeah, that was that's a great start. I feel like this could be the year of 31, Jamie. This could be it.
is this going to be 31?
Yeah, don't want to jinx it, but could be it.
No, I'm here in support. I think you can do it.
And I know you can do it. So, but we'll enjoy the ride. So yeah, hey, thanks for the conversation, and now it's time for the words of wisdom. If you feel like you have any additional student words of wisdom, this is the time to slow the recording down.
The student words of wisdom. Slow that recording. Hit that slower speed. Not like a DJ Screw tape, like slow speed. That's different. But they're like, what the hell is he talking about? No, this is just the plea. Even if you haven't started Arc-Inktober yet, and you end up listening to this, a few days from now, it's okay. You can go back, use the prompts, use them as your side quests to challenge yourself. It's kind of nice. I mean, it's, you don't have to overthink it. Sometimes we overthink it. But give yourself the chance, give yourself the grace to try and do 31 sketches, and then maybe even guess a theme or two. So we're there in support.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. That's well said. And I did actually, I think this is going to be on the recording now, but it's already on the Zoom recording, but I think I offered extra credit. So there's my words of wisdom. Extra credit to 31 sketches.
What? Okay.
Seems pretty good incentive, right?
Am I auditing this class?
You already get extra credit, so it'll be extra credit and free mushroom coffee for everybody. I don't know if Jamie likes the free mushroom coffee.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I think we got to call it. I think it's, yeah.
Right. All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.